All right, that was the good to go sign. Very good. So today's topic is beyond the bezel. What that means is of course something we will talk about during this speech. First of all, let us introduce ourselves. So this is me with different glasses, but yeah. Yeah, I'm working with Lamy, and that you don't forget it, I put my sweater on. And I'm the director for digital products at Lamy. And yeah, so you introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So as you can see, I don't have any glasses, but now I do because I was sitting too much on my laptop. My name is Nergis, but you can also call me Nero. I will try to keep it very short and simple. I've been working as a product designer for, I think, 5 years. And 2 years ago, I co-founded a software development company called Snapp X. And we're focused on developing cross-platform applications with Flutter. And this application we made together is not made with Flutter because it's for iPad users only. And it's native, but this is how we met each other.
Yes. So here again, the topic of today is a case study on ergonomic UX design. And so maybe we just start into the topic with a little association I had when I first heard about ergonomics, and that's this shoe. Yeah, Actually, my father had a knee injury, and after that, he used to wear that. But that was when he was in his 30s or 40s or something. And he still loves them very much because you can walk so good with it. That's ergonomic. And that's the other example you might also know. But why are we talking about ergonomics, and why is here someone from Lamy? Who does know the brand? Okay, very good brand recognition. So we are famous, at least in Germany or in German-speaking regions, or also in China. Yeah. Okay, good. For making rollerball pants and fountain pens. That is in German Füller. Yeah. And so why do I speak here at a more like UXDX meetup? This is because we came up with another product, which is a digital product. So it's a digital pen. You can write with it on iPad. And yeah, it works on any iPad since 2018. And the most important part about it is it's ergonomically designed and has an ergonomic shape to it. Yeah? And that's the reason why we also wanted, when we have an app to it, that we want this app also be in an ergonomic UX design. So there is an app to it, and that's the app Nergis was already referring to. We made together. It's still the first version of this app. That means with this app you can basically just update the firmware. So if there is a firmware update, you download this app, you connect it with the Lamy Safari Note Plus, and then you can update the firmware. That's pretty much it. If you go to the App Store, there are sadly a lot of users who didn't get this very short description of the app, and they are very disappointed that you can write with it, that you can test pressure sensitivity with it or whatever. They expected that we also come out with an with a full-fledged note-taking app, which is not, and so they gave us bad reviews. But
which hurts. It really hurts.
Yeah, it really hurts because that's what it's meant to do. It does quite good, yeah. So, but it's the first version. In the future, there will be also some note-taking or showcasing features in it. We will also have a list of partner apps with which they are working with the enhanced feature set. So much ado. About further ado, I would say let's dive into the ergonomic UX design and what it is actually. But that's quite the setting why we are here, why there's someone from Lamy, and
Someone from an agency came
yes.
together to give this talk, yeah. Okay, oh boy, how many of you are highly skilled UX designers? Like with many years of experience. Okay, so
more than 6 months. Yeah.
Okay, so I truly apologize because it will get a little theoretical because I want to define some terms. There are others who will take advantage of it, I think. But I hope it's not boring for you. So, what is ergonomics anyway? So we saw some examples in the physical world, like fancy shoes or keyboards. But let me put it that way. In the digital world, it's a little bit different. So have you ever tried using a website and felt like you needed an engineering degree just to find the contact page? Yes, that's what happens when ergonomics goes on vacation. So if you don't have ergonomics, you feel like it's very complicated, you don't understand, you feel overwhelmed. And this is why we thought ergonomics and UX design, they should work together. In more general terms, is like understanding ergonomics a little better is to look at a textbook definition. And it says it's all about designing systems that fit people. So it's not the other way around. You don't want to force people adapting to poorly designed systems. So the way we understand it is both as a science and a profession, focusing on optimizing well-being, but also performance by optimizing the way we interact with our environment, whether it's a workstation, a digital system, a digital experience, a digital product, or even a whole system, an entire system. So understand ergonomics as a bridge between humans and technology. So because you want to ensure that people are not frustrated while using your products or your system, and don't throw their devices away in frustration. Where ergonomics meets UX, we think it's a perfect match. Probably they both don't know it yet, but we think it's a perfect match. Because think of UX and ergonomics as the same side, same sides of the same coin, because they both focus on creating user experiences that are engaging. But they do it from a slightly different perspective. So ergonomics brings a scientific view on how people interact with your product, while UX adds an extra layer, like the emotional satisfaction and engaging. So when we want to differentiate a little bit more, we could say that it's not working properly, but what we could say is ergonomics asks, can humans use this without pain or discomfort or confusion? So is the system safe to use? UX research discovers what do people actually want and why. This is why you approach your target audience asking what their needs are, what their behaviors are. And UX design delivers delivers products that are not only functional but also feel amazing. Like when you use them, you feel engaged, you feel motivated. And when these three come together, they create experiences that we want, like digital experiences that are intuitive, engaging, safe to use, and even delightful. So when we talk about ergonomics, we're basically referring to two complementary dimensions, or let's call it two pillars. One of those pillars is the physical ergonomics, which is all about designing or adapting products to the human body, like physical capabilities, rather than working against them. So, okay, this is probably not a nice example because we have all like fingers and we can tap them, but basically it's referring to that there are some limitations you need to consider when designing products. So this is what I already mentioned. It's all about adapting products to work with the limitations and capabilities. There is Fitts law. You probably heard of this, but what about the others? Yeah, this is like in very simple terms. It says that bigger, closer targets are easier to hit. So this is why those tiny, tiny X buttons, close buttons at the corners of pop-ups or especially ads are really frustrating to hit. I don't know, have you discovered the closing buttons? Because it literally took me quite a while to find them. If you're still struggling to see them, I can help you. It's right there. So it's really hard, but I swear they do it on purpose.
They do actually, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I was just wondering even like, if they have closing buttons because I couldn't discover them. So in mobile design, these translates into very practical considerations like mapping thumb zones or placing key actions, primary actions where you can reach them easily with your thumb, even if you use it with one hand. So this is why like most apps have their navigation bar at the bottom. And this is why notifications on iPhones are at the bottom as well. So I think previously they had it at the top, but now they changed it. I don't know if it's true for Android. I haven't tried it out, but it's definitely true for...
Just for me.
Sorry?
But just for me, it's at the top.
It's at the top, yeah, okay. So when you see this, it's not a coincidence. It's definitely physical ergonomics taking place because they're considering your hand pose and and where your thumb naturally rests. Another one is creating touch targets that are easy to hit, like for normal human fingers, like not like for toothpick-sized digits. But I think you have a very nice anecdote about this problem, right?
Yes, there was I think it was like 10 years ago when smartphones also became more common also in the workplace. And then I think there was some Wall Street finance guy and he tried to place an order through his iPhone, but the rows were so small that he just hit the wrong row, and so
I think it cost them millions.
Yeah, it was a fat finger trade called afterwards, and you can Google it. It's for us observers, it's a fun story. I think for him it wasn't that funny, but that happens with bad UX design. Maybe one can say for his defense that at the time not all the apps and websites were already designed or optimized for mobile view, but still,
But I think now that it's commonly known as a fat finger problem.
Yes.
Could be. Okay, the third one is supporting one-handed use. I already mentioned that, right? Because you're not always using both hands for interacting with your application, because the other hand might be busy drinking, like holding a cup of coffee, or holding a child, or you're on a bus and you need to
hold tight.
Hold tight. Yes, exactly. So while physical ergonomics focuses on the body, cognitive ergonomics, the second pillar, focuses on how products process. This is so strange. I don't know what's... It looks stylish, yeah. Cognitive ergonomics focuses on how users process information. So there are also certainly some limitations because we can't observe all information and process all information. And there is a nice law, again, sorry for the UX designers here in the room, which is Higgs law. And this is a nice example because when the more choices you present to the user, the longer it takes for the user to make a decision. So this is why we, freeze up when we're faced with a restaurant menu, like offering 200 plus dishes. I don't know about you, but for me, 20 is still a lot to pick from, so 200 is crazy. But this is what Higgs law says. The more choices they have, the longer it takes to make a decision. And there are a lot of applications trying to solve this exact problem. And one of them is Netflix. I don't want to advertise this application. I don't even use it. So, but what I find interesting is they apply cognitive ergonomics to make their, thousands of titles manageable and accessible to the users. So what they do is they group content by categories like most watched, trending now, because you liked or because you watched. I think there are also genre-specific rows saying, okay, this is a drama, this is a comedy. And by doing this, they make their titles a little more accessible. I think previously I used Netflix, of course, but still it took me a lot of time to pick one, at least 30 minutes in average. What they also do is they use bigger thumbnails to grab the attention of users. So they put 1, 2, 3, like most watched videos, and that also makes it easier to decide. And the third one, I think that is genius. They customize and individualize the things they show to the users because they're not throwing everything in their faces. Saying, hey, look what we got, look what we have. They definitely show the things that are relevant to you. So imagine how satisfying it is to see like a title in like the one that is picked for you and that you really want to show, watch. That is really nice when it comes to this. And it's no magic. It's definitely cognitive ergonomics. Behind the scenes, making it easy to digest what is presented here. Okay, before doing all the theory, I already apologize, but you probably think like, okay, we heard this, we know, yes, make buttons bigger and place them in the right way. I can assure that this was just an intro, a quick intro, because we're passing now to the more practical part of the presentation, where we want to show ergonomic UX design in action. So what we did here is when conceptualizing or before starting the development in UX design, we did some research, because Tilman mentioned before that ergonomics for their product is important, so it should be also important for the digital one, for the application, for the companion app. And we found some really nice, practical, applicable principles on the internet. And we saw them as a guideline, and we applied them, but we are no saints, to be honest. We haven't applied every single one of them. We tried to see them as guidelines, as I said, and did the best out of it. So as I said, this is, or at least should be, the more fun part. So the first principle is design for humans in context. Why is that important? Because humans don't interact with your product in isolation or in pure isolation. Their abilities, limitation, context, situation all play a huge role. And this is why you should consider real-world use cases. And I think there are some nice examples. Some good example,
yeah. So for me, like a hobby cook, I like the new kitchen here, and I also like cooking with apps. And here with Captain Cook, for example, so in most apps, or when you cook with Instagram videos or something, then you always have to switch back between the ingredients and like the recipe, the different steps what to do. And with Captain Cook, you always have the recipe and the ingredients at the same time, and then you switch to the next one. So it's really tailored to the situation you're in while cooking. And another good example is also the Google Maps app. So you all might know it, that it changes between you just look up a location, or you're really traveling to that location, or if you're traveling by night or by day, it changes accordingly. And thirdly, my most used app, Spotify, it also changes when you, for example, in the car, then it reduces to the most important points, and yeah, that you can concentrate on driving and only have bigger buttons to skip to the next track or something. Yeah.
So the second subcategory of like the first principle is reduce onboarding friction, because I mean life is too short to have lengthy tutorials, and your product or application should be very intuitive anyway. So it shouldn't be lengthy, it shouldn't be complicated. People should like use very small small steps to go to get into the application. And here again we have a nice example.
Yeah, also from the education sector, this is Duolingo. And Duolingo really tries to tailor-make your experience in it. So it asks the fundamental questions in the beginning. So which language you want to learn, and how good are you already in this language, and how much time you can afford to learn that new language. And on top of that, you have also the progress bar that shows you how long this setup process is supposed to take.
Yeah, the third one is use clear affordances. I don't know if you're familiar with the term affordances. When you look in the physical, at the physical world, you have doors saying push, right? And you know what to do with that door. And the same should be with the UI elements you're using in your application. Users should immediately understand how to interact with them, and what to do with them. And the last one is provide immediate feedback, because like waiting in silence is kind of like for meditating apps, not for a checkout process, or like where it's really important to know what's happening in the app. So this one, the last one, was also very important in our case, because as said, we're providing users with firmware. So when they do the firmware update, they should be able to see what happens there. We implemented a loading indicator, like stating exactly like the progress. And if this progress somehow freezes, then there is still this line with the 3 animated dots. I know it's very subtle, but it's important, or it was important for us to show that there's still something happening. Because if people see a frozen screen, it's like, okay, has my device given up on life? Does something happen, or is it a mistake, an error? And if there is an error, if it really stops, then the user gets an error message saying, okay, this update has failed. Okay, so the second principle is consistency and predictability. So people feel more confident when design follows a familiar pattern, because they rely on past experiences when they navigate new interfaces. Probably you're seeing like common gesture, like swiping gestures, or like a hamburger menu. They all like kind of common UI components. And I know like designers have an ego. They want to create very, very creative user interfaces, but sometimes it's better to use familiar UI patterns. As I said, sometimes it's better to use like a hamburger menu or like very common swiping gestures to reduce learning time. People want to immediately start using your app instead of being frustrated because they need to learn something new. Maintain design consistency. I think we're living in an area where responsive design is the standard. I think I don't have to go into much detail. It's just saying that you have to make sure that whether it's on tablet or desktop or app, the digital experience should feel consistent. It should feel the same.
We have a small example here
Yeah.
From Headspace, but yeah, it's very easily explained. If you have the smartphone app or the desktop app or the tablet app, yeah, you must see that it's the same app and it behaves kind of the same way.
And the other one is ensure predictable navigation. I mean, users should always understand what's happening and what's next and where they are. I mean, you mentioned the progress bar when showing the Duolingo example, and this is exactly it. So you're showing and visualizing, you're at step 2, and you have like 4 more to go. What we did is, like in Lamy, ensuring predictability and consistency is that we used Apple UI framework or Apple UI conventions, because it's like speaking the native language of the user. They're like
So basically, we did a marriage between our design and we have a very big design guide or things we have to follow, and that was something we had to bring together when we started doing the app. So we had the advantage that we didn't have an app before, so we could start kind of in a green field, but nonetheless,
we merged it, exactly. So we used the UI framework, we used the UI components, but aligned it with the corporate design guidelines Lamy has. So I think the circle with the 3 dots is usually a little bit different, but as we aligned it, it's black, but the functionality behind it, it's the same. If you click on it, you open a menu, and even the drop-down works the same way. So everything is or feel very intuitive to iPad users. That was the goal. And the other thing is, because we use the UI framework, it was easier to adapt to different screen sizes, to different devices, because it was not a big issue scaling down and up, but also supporting landscape and portrait. Now, developers know that it's not something that comes out of the box. You have to try and see if the components are aligned well. So it becomes easier, or it became easier to do that, to support portrait and landscape, but still we had to test it, we had to change the design slightly to make it work in landscape and portrait.
Yeah, as we are compatible to all the iPads since 2018, and there's the Mini, the Pro, the Air, and the just iPad, and now the new Airs and Pros with 2 dimensions. That's an important case for us as well.
Okay, the third one is flexibility, because people interact with digital products in different ways. They have different preferences, so you should accommodate these various preferences. What do I mean by this? Support multiple input methods. I don't know, for a few of you, this sounds trivial. So you can use touch, keyboard, voice, or even the pen to make your inputs. But also offer alternative paths is one that belongs to flexibility. And what we mean by this?
get to have alternative paths. This is, of course, a very good example if we have a Maps app here to show alternative paths. So to find a location like this location here, if you're familiar with Hamburg, you can just put the pin on it and then say, guide me to this pin. Or if you're like me, who doesn't really know, comes from Berlin, and doesn't really know where Factorial is actually located, I can type in the company name, or if I know the directions, then I can type in also the street and the exact address, and I will find the way.
So the way how we did this in the app is we support keyboard navigation and interaction. We support touch. We allow users to write instead of type, because that is something that we realized after testing or while testing. We gave them the tablet and the pen, and they paired the pen with the tablet, with the companion app, and they wanted to use the pen to write their name. And we just realized, okay, this is very logical. We are the companion app. They're pairing the pen, so they should be able to interact with the pen.
They hold it in their hand, and then they don't want to put it away to write their name. Yeah.
So this is what we realized while testing, and this is also why we implemented it then. The fourth one is accessibility and inclusivity. So ergonomics is not just about ease of use, it's also about making your product accessible to everyone. And some of you might scream right now, saying, okay, this is virtually impossible. You can't create a product that is accessible and usable by 7 billion people, right? Because if you design for everyone, you basically design for no one, and that's definitely true. But what you should try to is make your product as accessible as possible, or try to address a wider range of people. But what I wanted to highlight here is when we say accessibility and inclusivity, we don't mean the same, because these concepts, these terms are not the same. I mean, there is a slight overlap, but they refer to different things. So accessibility and inclusion are, as I said, different. And when we talk about accessibility, it's you want to make sure that people with disabilities, or some prefer the term disabled people because they are disabled by the society, can equally access and interact with a digital product. It's about removing the barriers and not creating new ones. On the other hand, inclusion addresses a wider range of factors like the cultural background, even the technological factors, age. So you're trying to address a wider range of audience. So coming back to our principles, what does it mean? It means that you should present your information in a logical, easy to digest, easy to scan format. It's not about putting everything on screen and giving it to the user and say, hey, try to make sense of it. You should structure your information so it becomes easy to scan. And support assistive technology, like by implementing screen readers or voice control. Some components, this is also what we realized, are good for screen readers, and some doesn't work. I don't want to go into detail right now, but if you have like specific questions, we can talk after this. This again was something that we realized while testing, because people, especially non-digital natives, had problems pairing the pen and doing the firmware update because they didn't know how to do it. So they had the tablet with the application and they had the pen. They saw some visual cues, but they didn't know what to do. So then we decided to provide them with easy steps saying what to do. Like in the first screen, we say, okay, switch on your pen. Once the circle will turn blue, your Lamy Safari node is ready for pairing, and then you can tap on the circle. And the other one is the same, like step-by-step guidance to make sure that people know what to do. And the last one is definitely my favorite one because I'm a minimalist. If you go into my apartment, it feels like nobody lives there. It's the same for the digital products I create. Somehow, I try to be minimalistic, but it's not about my personal preferences. It's because a clean, well-structured interface also reduces cognitive load and makes it easier to interact with. So try to declutter your screens. So every single component should earn its space or place. Users shouldn't feel like something is unnecessary or too much on your screen. Use white space or use space in general. I think some people forget about this. They tend to think that more is more, but sometimes more is less. And here you have a nice example doing exactly this, decluttering and using white space.
Yeah. Normally the standard example here is of course the Google page because they were maybe not the first ones, but the first ones who really did it in a big scale. But so here I brought with as an example Perplexity, and you will find the same thing when you go to ChatGPT or other search-based or LLM assistant apps. It's always like that. There's one question and one interaction right in the middle that you can't do really anything else. Just like, you can click here to upgrade, but
And that leads to the final subcategory of the principle, prioritize key actions. Because prominent actions, the very important ones, should have the prominence. And you already explained this quite well.
Yes.
But
So there's another example, which is also like an example for our app, as one could see maybe. This is the Bose music app. And when you start pairing your headphones with it, then it really reduces to just what you have to do. It shows the product and what the steps you have to do to pair it.
And you can't do anything else.
Correct.
As I said. Yeah, so to sum it up, I think if we have to put everything in one sentence, this will be this. I think putting humans at the center, like creating human-centered designs. And probably also like serve and build for the user. I don't know about you, but when I'm doing my designs or concepts, I tend to forget about the real scenarios users use the applications. Because I try to solve problems, I try to make the stakeholders, the customers happy, but basically you're developing and conceptualizing the products for the users out there. So you should bear them in mind. And when saying this, of course, this is also like the topic.
Yeah,
right?
That's what
Beyond
we
the
translate
bezel,
into.
Because user experience does not stop at the screen's edges. If we look how people interact with products and applications, we see that these applications translate into physical context because sometimes they use it in the bus, in highly stressed situations, holding their child or drinking a cup of coffee. So it's not, they're not interacting in an ideal scenario or in a vacuum. Be accessible and inclusive. I told you that already. It's not about like making it accessible and usable for 7 billion people out there. It's trying to make it accessible for a wider range of audience. And the last one is design for humans in the context, because context is key. Situations changes, As we saw some examples, like you're using Spotify in car mode is a different scenario than the one you're like on desktop or when you're at home. So you need to consider these things and make sure that they're addressed correctly.
And if you want to sum it up in just one meme, then maybe that's a good one. Yeah, thank you very much. That was our talk, and now we're coming to questions.